The prospects tell you that your price is too high, and after they tell you that, you find out that they've gone to buy from someone else at that same price, or maybe at a higher price. In this training today, I'm going to show you what to do when a prospect says to you, your price is too high. Having trained over 23,000 salespeople across 5 countries, I won a sales competition while I worked in a financial institution and was sent to the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip. I was able to sell to 21 HNIs in a single month at a time. In another organization, I grew a portfolio of $3.5 million to over $7 million in just 11 months. I'm going to show you what you can do when a prospect tells you your price is too high. Now, in this training, we're going to look at the mindset for price objections. We're going to look at 3 reasons you could hear that your price is too high, then solutions to these reasons, and we'll look at the objection handling tactics to be able to navigate this price is too high issue. Now, I like to say that when it comes to price is too high, it is not really so much what you say that changes things, but the mental perception, change of thinking that happens in the mind of the prospects. That's the most important thing. So there are things you can do to bring about this change. I'm going to show you as we head towards the end of the video. So please stay with me. Now, first, mindset for price objections. There's what we call value versus price. Generally, if you've been in sales for a while, you've always thought about, value price. You've heard that conversation, value price. I'm aware that there are people who still argue and say things like, if the price was reduced, we will sell more. And I'm thinking, not exactly. Because I've seen cases in an organization when we run retainers and we work with sales teams to help them with their sales targets or budgets for the entire year. When we go into these companies and work with these salespeople, I've seen times when they say things like, we need to bring down our prices a little bit. Our prices are not competitive enough. They are too high. Then the MD, without consulting us, just decides to bring down the prices. When he brings down the prices, sales are still not coming in. And you hear him or her going for meetings with the organization, with the sales teams, and he's like, what's going on? Because these teams, they could be divided into groups or a large team. He's, what's going on? Sales are still not coming in, despite the fact that you mentioned that we needed to reduce the price. Because when it comes to selling, humans are pretty much the same around the world. Everybody chooses value. There is nobody who, even if you want to look at price to determine, for example, imagine someone gives you a menu, and you thought some people choose strictly based on price. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know that? Look at the way you buy. If, for example, you get a menu in an expensive restaurant and you feel like, I can't even afford most of the things here, therefore you go to the very cheapest thing on the menu, and based on that, would you just say, I want this? While you are looking at the price, even if it's the lowest price, you are still looking at value too. You are still looking at what it is this price is covering. So nobody just looks at price and takes a decision solely based on that. No, they constantly check. They look at the price and they check the value. They look at the price and they check the value. And in their minds, they weigh it and they make a decision. And there are things that affect how they weigh it. What you say, the perception you created, their past experiences, how they feel at the time. Many things just affect how they bring about a balance to decide whether the price is too high here or is something that they want to pay for. So human beings respond to value. The moment value is there, you find out that the price will not be the issue. See, somebody says, Iyore, I've seen people who there was value, but they still said that the price was the issue. Now you are arguing. Accept the fact that even if you thought there was so much value because somebody else bought from you, because there was so much value, this particular prospect that you have met now, who is still saying that it is still price that is his concern? Ladies and gentlemen, not every prospect, see, the way you approach every prospect should be the same, so that you cover logical decision making and emotional decision making. Because prospects make decisions based on emotions, and they also make decisions based on logic, even though science has shown us that it's more tilted towards emotions. But the point is that both are there. Now, when you sell to prospects, you want to sell in such a way that both emotions and logic are present to help this prospect make a decision. And if you sell that way, different prospects will tilt towards what suits them. The one who feels that emotion is what will suit them the more, you find out that the things you did to sell with emotions would move him in that direction. Those who choose logic more, the things you did to pitch towards logic would get his attention and he can now make a buying decision. So my point in all these things is that accept the fact that humans respond to value. When value is very high, price will be low in the prospect's mind. If you don't accept that, it's almost be impossible to handle the prices too high objections. Because to handle the prices too high, you must take responsibility for the outcome. Take responsibility and say to yourself that, you know what am I going to do differently so that I can be able to manage this? To show you how human beings respond to value, can you imagine, many years ago in this country, we used to buy ice cream from the streets. There were many options for ice cream, but they were a lot cheaper, right, than it is now. Apart from inflation, there was a time when I believe maybe it was about 100 to 200 naira to buy ice cream, or maybe 500, that price range. And all of a sudden, Cold Stone came into this country. Now, this company, when Cold Stone came, Cold Stone was selling ice cream with so much more. So many things were added to it. And they started to price the ice cream at 2005. Right now, it's going to almost 5,000, 6,000, depending on the kind of cup you pick. Now, think about the jump in price. So maybe buying ice cream of maybe about 500 to buying it for like 2,500, 3,000. Look at the jump in price. I remember when those stores opened, when I would pass by, I kept on looking and I would be like, what? There's still so much traffic in this place. The same people who were buying this ice cream at 500 are now paying 2,500, 3,000 for the same thing. Why would they walk into a place and the same ice cream they were buying at a cheaper price? They decide to pay so much more because humans respond to value. Now, where did the value come from here? It could be that the very ambience of the place when they walked in to the store changed everything. In fact, Cold Stone should even be a sponsor to this video. I could even have used them before I even use them as an example. When you walk into the store, they saw how ambient the place was, how beautiful the place was. The people who approached them across the counter, they spoke well, they had uniforms, they were very presentable. They even used to toss the ice cream up, just a place to have some fun and some excitement and some greeting when you walk in. Plus the beautiful decoration and the setting of the plates of the ice cream bowls. All these things affected people's perception. And they said, wow, this is awesome. And they felt like they could pay more for it. So even when somebody says, even when they mentioned, oh, this is the price. Well, some people have said, the price is too high. Yes, nevertheless. However, most people, when they said, wow, this is the price, they just thought, oh, it's worth it because of the experience and the environment. So any price can be justified, ladies and gentlemen, if value can be emphasized. Now, there are 3 reasons why you could hear the price is too high. There are 3 reasons. The first reason, number 1, the prospect himself doesn't even have enough financial capacity. The cash flow of the prospect. See, somebody can have assets, can be rich, but may not have the cash flow at the time to do business with you. Now, depending on what you sell, there are many factors behind this, but generally. Because of this, it means that you take responsibility and realize that, see, you didn't qualify this prospect properly. If you qualified properly, we wouldn't be here. Another reason why the prospect could probably say the price is too high could be the prospect feels that the competitors, he can get it at the same price, or most likely he can get it cheaper. And because he can get it cheaper, he feels, why don't I just go with them? But you say, oh, Iyore, but my value is higher. The question is that, does he know? And is the value so far? Is it far higher than the competitor that in his mind he feels, you know what, I'll rather go with this. If the value is not so far from the competition, then you realize that the prospect will feel there's no need. Let me just, I can this extra value this person is giving me over the competition, I'm not sure it's worth the reason why their price is higher. Let me just stay with the cheaper price and save that money. Which could also be a result of poor value communication, because if value communication is stronger, you could definitely persuade that same client. The third reason is the way the prospect sees his problem. See, if you change the way the prospect sees his problem, it will change the way he sees your solution. Because the whole idea of selling is helping prospects change how they see their problems. So they can change how they see your value, and therefore it can affect how they accept your price. So Either the prospect is not the right prospect because of no financial capacity, or wrong market because it feels like the competitor is giving the same price or at a higher value, or they are given at a cheaper price, or wrong perception of their problem. They are not seeing their problem the right way. That's because you're not helping them change how they see their problem. Now, these are the solutions to these things, right? These are the solutions. First of all, the client doesn't have financial capacity. We have to qualify hard, sell easy. I have a video on how to qualify prospects for financial capacity. I'll probably put that at the end screen so that you can watch it after this video. But you have to be able to qualify hard so that you can sell easy. The second thing is, for people who say things like, for prospects who say things like, I can get it cheaper somewhere else. How do you handle this kind of prospects? Never mention price until value is understood. Price mentioned before value has been understood is a sale lost. Once you mention your price and the prospect has not understood your value, it becomes a lost sale. Now, I didn't say price mentioned before value has been communicated. You see, because you can communicate the value. But you see, in communication, it's not what you say that matters. It is what has been understood that matters. So what did the prospect understand by what you said? How do you know they understood? There are several things you used to know. Number one, their facial expression while you were talking to them. The first thing you look at when you meet your prospect is the prospect's face. So you check for body language changes, so that can even show that they've understood what it is exactly you're saying. Number three, you get feedback. That's what we call the test clues. Oh, sir, is it making sense to you so far? Oh, sir, is it clear how this is a different method? And he says, oh, yes, it is. Then the second thing is, under handling people who say things like the competitors are probably cheaper, therefore they want to port to them. Study the competition as well to know the basis of your pricing and the basis of your price difference. So what the competition is selling, what is the basis that they are selling it at 500 million? What is the basis upon which you're selling yours at 800 million? I was in a training program one day. I was a real estate company. And this set of sales people were arguing and said things like, what? Like they don't know why their price is a lot higher. This same location, next building to us, or two buildings away from us, a penthouse was being sold for 700 or 300 thereabouts at that time, 500. Let's put at 500. The penthouse was sold at 500 million. We were selling ours at 750 million. And I said, do you know what the difference was? They analyzed for almost 30 minutes. They couldn't tell the difference until the MD walked in. And they stated clearly what the difference was and the basis of the pricing. So you understand that every price has a reason for its price. So study the competition to know the basis of their pricing so that you can then know the basis upon which your price is the way it is. The third thing you want to do is that sell the price to yourself. Sell the price to yourself. How do you sell the price to yourself? Break your products into value bites. This means, is it possible for you to be able to tie certain parts of this product to the price? So that way you can be able to tell, oh, adding this up is what amounted to this price. If you do that, you realize that your product is actually underpriced a lot of times. Because the intrinsic value is far more than what it is that you're charging for that particular product or service. Then, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth thing, the prospect will value the salesperson who is more detailed. The battle is salespeople versus salespeople. Whenever you're describing your product and you are giving a lot of specific details based on higher product knowledge, you find out that he would value what you're doing a lot more, which would affect how he sees your price. Remember, I'm telling you about how to handle the solutions behind the 3 reasons why the price is too high. The first one, wrong prospect, because it says he doesn't have financial. We say he doesn't have financial capacity, and because he doesn't have financial capacity, I'm showing you now. Well, I've shown you what to do now. I said qualify hard, so you can sell easy. He says, prospect says, wrong market, right? Because he's comparing you with other competitors. And I told you, I'm telling you what to do. I've given you 3 points right now, 4 points right now about that. Now I'm giving you the 5th point, which is the right packaging for the target audience. Now, check the packaging of your product or service. Using that Cold Stone example I gave you, the environment is like the packaging. This means that the things that surround the particular product affects how they perceive the product, so that they don't end up saying it's too high. And this has to do with, sometimes your personal appearance. If it's not a product that has to do with an environment, then the salesperson, your personal appearance is the environment. In some cases, you speaking in the vocabulary of the prospects industry is the environment. So if you're going to stop hearing prices too high too many times, if you're going to reduce that drastically, these are things that you must put in place to reduce that drastically. Then finally, ask questions. Ask questions. Finally, actually, that's this particular segment. Ask questions. The more questions you ask to understand the prospect, it will give you the opportunity to change how they see their problems. And this takes me to the third part, where I said reasons you could be hearing prices too high. The wrong perception of the client's problem. He doesn't see his problem the right way. Before you communicate value, you must understand that money problems are solved with money solutions. You must solve money with money. And what do I mean by that? What I'm trying to say is that the prospect is probably going to pay money to solve the problem you have identified. He's going to pay. Your role is to make sure that money meets money. How? By making sure that the problem he's going to use his money to solve is monetized. So you want to convert that problem or that opportunity. You see, it's not every time the client is trying to buy to solve a problem. Not everybody's in a problem like, oh, I have a problem, I want to solve it. It could be a desire. We just see this problem as a generic word. It could be an aspiration. Oh, this is what I want to achieve. Oh, this is an opportunity I want to take advantage of. What is the size of the opportunity in the prospect's mind? And that's why you must practice what we call collaborative selling. You must let the prospect know that, see, I want to work with you to come up with a solution that suits you best. The approach when you sell to prospects should not be subservient. Oh, yes, sir. The kind of, oh, this is the person with the money. I only have the product. I'm submissive to him. No. It's not also supposed to be a dominating one, which is, oh, all you have is money. I have the product. I can always get another money, but you can probably not find my product anywhere else. It's not supposed to be like a dominating arrangement. It's supposed to be a collaborative. This means as pairs, let us look at how much this problem is costing you. Every problem has a cost in currency. Therefore, you need to collaborate with the prospect to determine the cost. So your role is to make sure that the solution is about 10% of that cost. So, for example, somebody says, I need to insure this particular, his building or his company or his assets are not insured. Question, what is the value? How much would it cost him if he didn't insure that asset? What would be lost to him? How much will he be losing? If you discover that he's losing 100 million, and that all he requires, the goal is now make him realize that all he requires to be able to insure that asset, all he's going to be investing is barely 10%. So if you notice that it is not up to 10%, two things you can do. What you can do is you can raise the value of the project, of the property a lot higher, because as you're trying to analyze the problems, you see, problems can move beyond how much you lose if the asset gets affected. You can also look at the emotional aspects to you as a salesperson or as the owner of that asset. How much would that cost you? The ripple effects that it will have on your family or in other areas of your life, how much is that going to cost you? What am I trying to do? I just need to try and raise up the price high enough so that at least the value of my product will be worth not more than 10%. So if it is more than 10%, you can do this to try to raise up the value a little higher, so that way he can see that he's not being overcharged, or he can have the perception that he's getting a lot more value. So mention your price to the right tone of voice as well, ladies and gentlemen. Mention your price to the right tone of voice. One of the ways to handle the wrong perception of the problem is when you're talking about the price, you want to make sure that you don't make the price sound like it's too high. Use the right tone of voice so that it sounds like, oh, there's almost nothing that is being paid for here. Because of time, I will have to complete the session tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll go a lot deeper into the tactics, but I'm sure you've learned a lot on things you can do today to be able to manage the prices too high objection. We'll have part 2 tomorrow so we can close this out then. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to share with others, remember to subscribe and get people to join these sessions as well. So if you have any questions or clarification, please chat in the comment section so I can give you answers to this particular question. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow.